You want some wine?
That's fine. Yeah, sure.
You want me to open the window?
No.
Hi, Jimmy. You can't hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm playing with you.
Oh, Jimmy.
Oh, you got to have a little laughter this afternoon. I'm sure you've had a stressful day.
Let's try a stressful 3 years.
Hey, I'm afraid the dark clouds are in front of you.
I know. We'll be okay, though. It's just a system. It's not life or death.
Right.
I
We'll
think,
figure it out. Well, I mean, I have dug into this thing full bore for 2 weeks now. I still got some questions, but we can cover it later. I was like never got group stuff to work, and I'm still having some technical problems. Like when I message, I'm in a group, and when I message everybody, my text doesn't come through. I get it on email, and then when I get it on email, there's no way to respond. So we'll talk about that at is it this Thursday?
Yep.
Good. I can hold on to all my questions.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Now, am I turning this over to you once we get started?
Yeah, if you just want to do a quick introduction and then give me the capability to share my screen.
Yep.
Then I'll ramble for about an hour, and if you can just help me monitor the chat, that
Sure.
would be the biggest help.
Yeah, and I'm going to get our recording going so we can send that. Anyways, I want to introduce you to a young lady, Tammy. And Tammy, I think you're in Washington State. Am I right?
I'm actually in Colorado.
Colorado. Okay. Well, she has been my best friend for about 3 months now, training the region. And I'll tell you, it's not complicated, but there are a lot of differences in WebPoint that you're going to go, wow. But she's going to try to walk you through the club part of it. We're having to learn the region part, the club part, and then the part that goes with USAV. So we got a lot on our plate. So with that said, Tammy, let me give you control.
Okay.
And you'll have it, and Kirsten will holler if we've got questions along the way.
Perfect. So I'll just do a little bit more of an introduction. So like Jimmy said, I work at USA Volleyball, and I've been working exclusively on this member management system project for about 2.5 years. I'm also a club administrator for a club out here in Colorado. So a lot of the same struggles that you guys go through, we had several of us on the project that are club people that are trying to incorporate our point of view into the system, right? Keep the club directors in mind. So I'm at the point where we're really excited to be finally sharing this out with people that are going to be using the system. Please don't be shy with your questions, just throw them into chat, and I'm happy to answer all of those. And then the last thing I would just say is, as we go through this, please do not write down step-by-step instructions or what button I might be clicking. We've put together a ton of help resources for you. So I wouldn't waste your time writing all that stuff down. I would focus on getting the general feel of the system, and then I'll go ahead and show you where you can get to those help resources or help videos. And that way you always have that and can access that when you need it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. Okay. Can you guys see that okay? Maybe a thumbs up or a nod or something.
Coming up now. You're good.
Okay, Perfect, thank you. I'm actually gonna stop my video so I'm not just looking sideways at you for the whole time. Well, maybe. There we go, okay. So the first thing I wanna start with is just some basic terminology. That way we're all on the same page moving forward. So Sports Engine is a platform, which basically just means that they've got lots of different systems under the Sports Engine name or brand. AES is one of those, Bracket Pal, and now the USA Volleyball Member Management System will live on the Sports Engine platform. So to access the member management system or to buy a membership, really to do anything you're going to need to do for this season, you will first need to have a Sports Engine account. And that's where I am right now. I'm in my general Sports Engine account. This is not specific to USA Volleyball. This is, like I said, for all of Sports Engine's platform. So it's very possible that you or maybe the parents in your club already have a Sports Engine account if they have participated with, I don't know, a soccer club or a lacrosse club or somebody else that uses Sports Engine system. A Sports Engine account, like I said, is what an individual has. And one of the biggest victories for us in this new system is this idea of family account. So I am the account holder here, and I've added my fake children underneath my family account as profiles. So if you've got maybe moms or dads, I've got lots of girls that play volleyball in your area or for your club, they're gonna need one account, one username and password for the whole family, and then they'll have their children listed underneath as profiles in their family account. Over here on the left-hand menu, all these tabs, like I was mentioning, are not volleyball specific. So groups, teams, schedules, bills, these are all specific to the account holder. But if they play multiple sports, maybe they get a USA Volleyball bill or a club bill from their soccer team, that's all going to populate in this area. So they're seeing information for multiple sports or anything that's specific to their Sports Engine account there. I'm not going to go through each of these tabs one by one, but there are a couple that I wanted to highlight. The first I'm going to go to down here is the Settings tab. And I should give you fair warning that my account has been used for quite a bit of testing. So everything I show you will have lots of notifications and examples. Hopefully your account never looks this crazy. But this is a big one. So this is where you as a member can control your notification settings and control how you're being communicated with. Jimmy, it sounds like this is one of the primary ways you're going to use to communicate to club directors is actually through the system. So it'll be important once you create your Sports Engine account to find the Palmetto region down here in this notification setting. And that's where I can select, do I want to get messages to a specific email address? If I've got multiple email addresses in there, I can choose which one. Maybe I want it to only go to my work email or only my personal email. And I can also add a phone number in to get notifications via text. If it's a long message, you actually get the text and then you have to click it and it opens a web page. But I can control all my notification settings there, and that's by organization. So it might be different for, again, like your kid's soccer club or a parent's soccer club versus their volleyball club. And this is where I come to manage that.
Tammy, I do want to mention to the club directors is we want you to choose both your email and text in relation to our region so that you get both of those. There could be, we'll probably use this for more urgent messages, and then your director's desk will be for the general information. It'll come out weekly.
Last thing on this page that I wanted to point out is down at the bottom, there is a Manage Sports Engine Marketing Preferences. So Sports Engine is a large company with lots of different systems on their platform. They send out, newsletters and other emails. If you or a parent no longer wants to receive those, you can always hit unsubscribe at the bottom of an email, or you can come into your account, go to that marketing preferences area, and unsubscribe from whatever you'd like to there. Are there any questions so far about the family account or about notification settings?
We don't see anything in the chat room yet.
Okay. So just to recap, a Sports Engine account is for an individual. That's where I am right now. What's specific to you guys here is we're going to jump into what's called a Sports Engine HQ.
Hey, Tammy,
Sure.
can you, a question that came up before, divorced families where the mother and father both want to get information.
Yep. Really cool when a divorce family situation happens, each parent would create a Sports Engine account, and then we can share one of these profiles between the two accounts.
Okay.
So it'd be two separate Sports Engine accounts, but then they both share and have control over the child's profile.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump into my Sports Engine HQ. And an HQ is an account for an organization like your club. So to do that, I'm going to hit this My Organizations button up here. This would be only available to you if you've claimed your HQ. We've sent quite a few emails. I think Jimmy's been doing some follow-up as well. Basically, we've created your club account or your club HQ for you. We just need you to go in there and claim it. And if you're having any trouble with that, you can shoot Jimmy a note and he'll get it to the right people with us and we can get that sorted out. But from this list, you should see your club and you would select your club to go into your HQ. I have it open in another tab, so I'm just going to jump over there. You can see that the view is a little different, right? I'm no longer looking at my personal Sports Engine account. I'm looking at information for this club, which is a dummy club right now. Now this is, in my opinion, the most important thing I'll say all night. There is a free version of HQ, which is what all clubs get for being a part of USA Volleyball. It's a free account. There are free tools. Everything you need for the season is done in that free account. Sports Engine also has a premium account. There is a cost associated with that. You get lots more features, but it is no way required. It is totally optional. We can certainly connect you with the right people if that's something you're interested in, but the free version of Club HQ is all you will need for the season. Okay, so from this point of view, just want to show how I'd get back to my personal Sports Engine account. I'm in my Club HQ. If I hit my picture up here, or it might be your initials if you don't have a picture, you would hit this My Sports Engine, and that gets you back to your personal individual account. Just like the individual Sports Engine account isn't specific to USA Volleyball, Club HQ or your Sports Engine HQ works the same way. So this entire area is not only USA Volleyball stuff. I don't know if this ever happens, but perhaps you're a soccer club and a volleyball club. You could be managing all of your club, the soccer part and the volleyball part, within this Club HQ. The only area that is specific to USA Volleyball and your region is this USA Volleyball tab on the left. So these other tabs are just club management tools. Again, some of them are free tools you get with your free HQ. Others are a premium feature that you'd need to upgrade in order to see and use. Any questions there about just the basic terminology and basic accounts where we're going to be spending our time?
Tammy, could you touch base about how they give permission to the region so that we can get in to help them?
Sure, that's a great segue into this next area. So with your club HQ, the region does not automatically get access to maybe assist you with certain things that they were able to do in WebPoint. Things like building rosters or helping with club assignment, those all live within the club HQ, and the region can only help you with those tasks if you grant them permission. Jimmy, are you requiring all the clubs to give you permission, or is it an option?
Well, if they call us and ask for help, they're going to have to do it. So there's
Okay.
no other way for us to do it. We're not requiring it, but if they won't help, we've got to do it. You know, I mean, that's the only way we can get in. Kirsten or myself or one of the other staff to be able to get in and help them. So it's probably a necessity this first year.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and that's really happening across all the regions where clubs are providing access to the region in order to assist, especially in this first year. So we're going to spend a little bit of time in the member directory, and then we'll come back to this point, Jimmy.
Okay.
So I'm over here on the left-hand menu under members and then directory. And this area, not going to lie, it's poorly named. Members is a little misleading because members does not mean that they have a membership or that they're a member of the region or a member of USA Volleyball. Really, this directory is like a phone book for your club. These people are not necessarily associated with your club in the region's eyes or in USA Volleyball's eyes. It's just a phone book of information of people that have done something to participate with your club. We can add people to the directory and the phone book in 2 different ways. And this is really going to be your first step as a club director for this season. And being honest, it's kind of a sucky step for this first year just because it's a brand new system and your directory is probably empty. So you'll be starting fresh. But in years 2 and 3, as we use this system more and more, your directory or your phone book will just continue to grow, and you won't be adding people as much in the future, especially if you've got kids that continue to stay with your club. You would really only be doing this for new athletes. But in year 1, your phone book is empty, so we need to add people to the phone book. I can do that in 2 ways. I can hit this add person button. This is going to require me to put in a name and an email address. There's a couple other optional fields if you have that on an individual, but name and email address are the required fields. And just as a good rule of thumb, this would always be the athlete's name if you were sending to like your players, and the email would be the parent email. That should just be something we all get in the habit of doing when we're communicating with minors. We're really only ever communicating with parents. Now, that manual add is obviously time consuming, and manually adding people one by one doesn't make a lot of sense if you're a larger club. So you can also go to this 3 dots over here, which I've learned is called a kebab, and go to this import feature. This is going to allow you to, once it refreshes there, allow you to import a large list of people into your member directory, or again, your phone book. There are some additional required fields here. There is a template that you can download, a CSV file. It's really just an Excel file. So I highly recommend going through this import process rather than the one-by-one add. I know import's always a little scary, but will certainly save you a ton of time, especially in this first year. Now, anytime you add somebody to your phone book or your directory, they are going to receive an email invitation to join the phone book or to join the directory. So all these individuals in here, you can see there's a profile status. Sorry, I'll let my page load. There's a profile status. That profile status is really just telling you whether or not they have a Sports Engine account. So if I click on Mallory here, who is not a real person, this is just a lot of fake information. This means that I added Mallory to the directory, but the only information I'm seeing on Mallory is information that I provided in my import file or when I typed her in and added her directly. As soon as Mallory accepts my invitation to join my phone book, then the information I'm seeing is going to be verified information because it's going to come from her personal Sports Engine account. This is one of the things I love about the system, especially for parents. This means that if I ever needed to change my email address or my phone number, I could come into my household, my individual Sports Engine account, and update my phone number, and it would automatically update in all the directories or all the phone books that I'm a part of. So again, while this profile status is pending, that means that you've sent them an invitation for the phone book they have not yet accepted. If they have the check mark, that means you've sent the invitation and they've created a Sports Engine account and have agreed to share their information with you, the club.
Tammy, can you send out reminders to these people?
Yep. So if there's ever anybody that is still in that pending state, they haven't accepted that directory invite, you can see that banner up here at the top, and I can resend that invite whenever I need to.
Okay.
So is the intent to get them into your quote unquote phone book prior to tryouts to make sure that they're registered, or like when would we be doing this?
Yep. My suggestion, and I highly recommend this, is that you would only add people to your phone book that you know are participating with your club for the 2021 season. So that would be after tryouts in terms of athletes, but certainly if you know coaches or staff members for your club are ready, that could be done now. Any other questions with the directory here? This is obviously a big change with a lot of different terminology. So,
and just so everybody understands, they're recommending that once you have them in tryouts, then import your Excel sheet. Don't just add them beforehand before you know if they're going to be with the club.
yep, and a big part of why we're recommending that is just because the individual receives a notification or an invitation when they're added to that phone book. Especially this is year one with a lot of new processes, that could be very confusing if you're adding somebody who's not going to be participating with your club. So after you know that they're participating with you, maybe after tryouts or after they've signed a contract, that's when we'd want to go in and do that step.
Tammy, we have a question. One of our clubs has had Sports Engine for 5 years, and they've got in excess of 1,000 people in their directory. Should they clear those out, or do they dedicate them to Palmetto Volleyball and leave the other ones in? How does that done?
Yep. So if you're a club that uses Sports Engine, maybe you're already one of their premium customers, your directory would be full of people that have signed up with your club through a registration or a camp or whatever you use Sports Engine for, and they would just stay in your directory. Your directory would be a little bit bigger and fuller early on, but certainly no harm in keeping them in there. Again, this phone book does not mean that they're tied with your club for the season. It's just a phone book of contact information. If you don't use Sports Engine, you probably have lots of kids' information from previous years that have attended some sort of event with your club. Same kind of idea, just helping you organize all that contact information within one system. Any other questions there?
If we've used Sports Engine previously, is there anything else they need to claim or do?
Nope. If you've used Sports Engine previously, you will have a new USA Volleyball tab. Once the season begins, you might even have it now. You just wouldn't be able to do anything in it. But nope, there's a couple other things that might be a little different for a premium customer. But we've highlighted a lot of those changes or differences on our help resources, which I'll show here in a little bit.
And I'm assuming they can remove people if they want to.
Yep, and like I said, there really is no reason to remove anybody. It's just a big phone book of information, but there is a process to do that if needed.
Okay. Everybody keep putting your questions in the chat if you have them.
Just a couple other things to highlight here on this directory step. There's also this groups and rosters area. So anytime you import in a group of people, it saves that. So you've got record of who came in on that group. You also have the ability to create groups, which could be really helpful in terms of easily messaging a certain group of people. So for example, this one, there was a coaches group created, which means somebody at some point went in and added 28 people to a coach list. And now I could message the entire group of coaches at once. So for my personal club, I'm not a Sports Engine customer, but I'll probably go through and create a group of coaches so I can email all my coaches, maybe a group by team. So I've got that contact information readily available if I wanted to message them through the system.
Tammy, is there a possibility of duplicates in the directory?
Yep, there certainly is. If people do a slightly different name or a nickname all of a sudden, within a household. So jumping back into my personal Sports Engine account, that's really where a duplicate would get cleaned up. So if you notice that little Sally's got 2 accounts, but it's the same Sally, you would need to contact that family, and they can drag and drop the 2 Sallys on top of each other and merge those accounts together.
Okay.
Last thing I'll just highlight here in the directory, I'm going back into that kebab, the 3 dots, and hitting this edit columns. Right now in the directory, as the point of view I was looking at, these were the data points I was seeing, but I can add quite a bit of other information, really any piece of data that's being collected. So it might be helpful for you to see, I don't know, their date of birth or their nickname or their zip code, something like that. You can customize that to your liking, save that configuration, and now date of birth is added in here to this directory page. Okay, so just to recap before we go on to step 2, step 1 is to add people to your phone book. This is a little bit time consuming in year 1 of this new system because many of you will be starting from scratch in your phone book. You have the manual add capability, which would be 1 by 1, or you could do that import. I apologize, with the import, I forgot to mention that we all have access to the WebPoint system until October 31st. So information that you would have on athletes from this previous season is in WebPoint. You can go in there, you could export that data from WebPoint, maybe reorder the columns a little bit, and then import that data into your new directory here. So you don't have to start completely from ground zero. That information is in WebPoint and you can get to that.
Tammy, will team rosters, will we have access to team rosters from previous years on Sport?
Yes, you can export team rosters from WebPoint. You will have to rebuild them in this new system for year 1. In future years on the system, you'll be able to kind of reuse or recopy teams and rosters. Okay, so like we said, this is step 1. Because this member directory does not live in that USA Volleyball tab, building your directory is something that you could begin doing now. As long as you've claimed your Sports Engine account and you're able to get in there, you could start with your coaches and your club staff. We'd hold off on athletes until tryouts are done, but this is something that you could go ahead and get started on. Okay, we're gonna move to step 2. We are actually now gonna be in that USA Volleyball tab. So this step and the next step will not be available until September 1st. So I will show you my screen, but if you tried to get in there yourself, you wouldn't be able to do it right now. I'm gonna talk a little bit before we actually click on the button here. So thinking back to WebPoint, when a athlete or a coach buys a membership, there is a drop-down box that allows them to choose the club they're affiliating with for the season. That process has really been flipped around in this new system, and that's what we're going to go through now. So this process is called club assignment, and you, the club director, are actually going to initiate this process. What we found so frequently in that WebPoint system is that, one, club directors were hounding people to get it done. So you guys were taking on a lot of work that way anyways. And 2, we so frequently got people that chose the incorrect club, whether they chose the club they wanted to be with or they, clicked in the box and then accidentally scrolled. And then it was a lot of admin work to correct that. So once you've done your tryouts for this season and you know who your teams are, Your first step is to add them into the member directory. Your second step will be to assign them to your club within the USA Volleyball season or within the USA Volleyball Palmetto world. To do that, I'm going to go to this memberships button under the USA Volleyball tab. And here I'm going to see a list of region memberships. You can see that this athlete membership club assignment is locked. So this region has set up that I can't do club assignment yet for an athlete. That might be because of whatever region policy is happening. But the coach membership is not locked. So when I'm ready to invite my coaches, meaning that I'm going to assign the coaches to my club, I'm going to hit this vertical kebab here and hit this invite members button. From here, I will actually be sending them an email, basically asking them to be assigned to my club. It's what we're calling a handshake. So you as the club director are reaching out with the first step, and then the individual has to accept that handshake, and that's when club assignment is finalized. So to invite a coach or invite a member, I would be typing in just the first 2 letters of their name, and it's searching my phone book to find these individuals. I can add as many as I want here. And going through this and testing and with my own club, I am probably going to do it, team by team, just so the list doesn't get very long. But I would add these individuals. I can add a custom message, and then they're going to receive a club assignment email that they need to accept. Once they accept that email, they are officially assigned to your club for the USA Volleyball Palmetto season, and you'll be able to see additional data points on that individual that's specific to USA Volleyball. Things like their membership, their background screen, their safe sport, all that information that you need to build your roster and ensure that they've met all requirements. Now, the really cool thing here is if I invite somebody to become assigned to my club and they do not yet have a membership, the system will direct them to buy a membership right from that email. When they hit that accept button on the email, they'll actually be taken to a purchase screen because they need to buy a membership before they can be assigned to a club. So you can send this club assignment invite whether you know they have a membership or not. The system will determine if they've got one, they'll be assigned to your club right then and there. If they don't have one, they'll be asked to buy the membership, shown how to do that, and then they'll become assigned to your club.
So, hey, Jimmy, with that piece right there of if you can have people without memberships, how do we make sure people have Sports Engine's account prior to tryouts?
It's not needed. The only thing that they will need is they're going to need every player will start with a tryout membership, $15. And then if they are accepted or they accept a club, they will upgrade to a full membership for $35.
So how will we as club directors know if they have a tryout membership?
They'll have it on their phone or they'll bring you a printed membership card.
And so, Jimmy, that would mean they would also have the Sport Engine account to get that tryout membership.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our members should, before going to a tryout, all have the Sport Engine membership or account with the tryout membership. And they will be able to show their membership card or the QR code proving that they have a current membership.
Yep. So for a member in your region with that workflow, they're going to go to the region website when the tryout membership is available, and they're going to buy the tryout membership directly from the region. There's no club affiliation at that point. It's just a general tryout membership. But they will have a QR code so they can save that to their phone. They also get a membership card emailed to them. So that would be how you as the club director would check to ensure somebody's eligible. And then once, again, they've made your team, that's when you would jump into the steps that we're describing here.
And everybody, this is a big change, not huge, but a change from previous year. So we'll be doing a lot of educating to all the current members, but we're depending on you guys to tell them they've got to do those few easy steps. go in and get a membership, and if they don't have a sports engine, it'll automatically make them create one. But all people who are wanting to join a club, whether they're already knowing they're going to join ABC, they're not trying out with anybody else, they know they're going there and that's it, they still have to purchase a tryout membership initially, and then they will convert it at our signing date through the dates we have. Tammy, just a couple of questions while we've got a pause. One, is there a bulk import to invite members?
At this time, there is not. It is the first two letters, and then you can select multiple people. I can say with complete honesty that many people have asked that question. It is on the list for future iterations of the system, but it will not be available on 9.1. So for this season, you will need to type in the first two letters of everyone's name and select them from your phone book to invite them there.
And at this point, can you, or do you want to cover the multiple invites that they may receive from different clubs?
Sure. So it is possible that multiple clubs send the same individual a club assignment invite. That's obviously not what we want to have happen, because this process should be happening after tryouts and after teams are really finalized. But if an individual does get multiple invites, the first invite that they accept would be kind of locked down. And then if they hit accept on a second invite or a third invite, that goes immediately to the region for review. So that would be where Jimmy and Kirsten jump in and probably contact both the clubs and figure out what happened there, if it was just a accidental click or if someone really is trying to jump ship and change clubs.
And then one other question, I don't think this is related, but if they send an invite out and then their team changes after they've sent an invite out, do they have to send another one, or they're basically just joining the club? It's the club that assigns the teams, correct?
Correct. Yep. This is just club assignment. This is just the administrative step of connecting a club and an individual. This is not the offering system. You as a club should still be, offering a spot to a kid in whatever way that you guys do that now.
Yeah.
But this is, once things are finalized, hey, I need to start getting in the system and doing the admin work associated with that so I can register for tournaments and make sure requirements are met. Just a couple other things to highlight in this area. I'm going to go to this view members area. So this is where I've invited what looked like, I think, 32 coaches for my club. Oops, so sorry, hit the wrong button. What we've got in this new system is a new term called eligibility. So if you think back to WebPoint, when you were looking at your coaches or your staff members, you were having to evaluate yourself. Do they have a membership? Do they have background screen? Do they have safe sport? Do they have impact? What we've done in this system is we've taken all of those requirements and rolled them into what's called the eligibility status. So at a high level kind of overview, I can look at these individuals in my club and see whether or not they're eligible, right? That thumbs up eligible means they met all their requirements. And I think I've got maybe one ineligible person here who has not met their requirements. This is another one of those big victories, in my opinion, from the system, is let's say I've got maybe a list of people in here that are ineligible. All my coaches, for example, are ineligible. I can add that filter to find the ineligible people, select them from the list, or maybe select them in bulk, and I can hit this send reminders button. Now what this is going to do is it's going to send each coach an individual email with exactly the requirements they still need to complete and the links to complete that. So I'm going to show you just one example here. I hit that send reminder button, an email reminder was sent. If I wanted to drill in here and see what's going on, okay, it looks like this individual got a membership, but they haven't filled out a waiver. That's why they're ineligible. It might be background screen or safe sport, but there's something here that they haven't been able to complete. I just got an email on my phone that sent me that reminder and gives me the direct link to go complete what I needed to. The other area that an individual sees that is jumping back into a personal sports engine account. If I come to this home tab, again, the test account is a little ugly here, but I get that big dashboard notification of a requirement that still needs to be completed. And this point of view looks a lot like the email as well, where it's going to give them a list of the items still needing completion. Whoops. And then the direct link to do that. Let me try one more.
And this is going to take a lot of work off of what you guys had to do manually and checking members and stuff like that in the past.
Yep, so that email that I got, as well as the notification in my account when I hit that send reminder button, this is what it looks like in the email as well. I've got requirements that are completed. I've got a membership. I filled out a waiver, but I haven't done background screen or safe sport. This is the same email that somebody gets when they buy a membership right off the bat. They're going to have this email to complete requirements. One thing that I personally love about the system, if you guys are aware of how many steps it was before to get to safe sport training, it was quite an ordeal to make sure you registered for the course and got to the right spot. But now directly from that email link or from my account, if I hit that complete safe sport training, I'm taken to safe sport, which is pretty exciting. Okay, any questions there, Jimmy?
Well, somebody texted me and just wanted to verify, going back to memberships, the good part, which I was excited about, is as long as the member puts in their email address and checks it and their phone number or cell number and checks it, you could send text out to a group, like a team, maybe a last minute change that you got to send text out to, which we have not had access before. So that's exciting that you can do that.
Yep, correct. That would just depend on the member themselves needs to set up how they're going to receive that notification. But as long as they put in that they want to receive it by text, that's an awesome feature. Okay, any other questions here from club assignment or eligibility? Again, a very new concept that members and club directors need to get used to, but I think it'll really help cut down on your admin work on having to chase people down to make sure they get, safe sport done or background screen done. And it just gives you a really easy glance at, can they participate or not? So going back to the tryout membership, when kids show up for your tryout and you need to verify whether or not they're good to go, they'll pull out their phone or their membership card and it'll show you an eligible status or an ineligible status.
I'll, Kirsten may have something also. In short, the only different, I mean, you're still going to do your tryouts just like you normally done. You're going to accept teams just like you normally have. It's just when you get ready to link the person that accepts to your club and put them on a team, you just send them an invitation and that puts them into your club. So that's different. And then the other change new for this year is that all players will start off with a tryout membership, and those will be available after September the 15th. We did that due to a refund policy, and I think I've explained that before, but I'll explain it later on. So that, now you can put coaches in. Coaches and yourself can start buying memberships September 1, because those should not change. And they can buy full memberships. So they can go ahead and get that done, and background checks and all their eligibility and all that stuff can get it knocked out before you get into tryouts. Kirsten, can you address the certifications for ref and scorekeeping? Those will not link to Sports Engine, I do not think, correct?
That's some stuff that we're going to have to make decisions on, because we currently don't have it where each individual player is required to have all of them. So it would not be easy to do a blanket thing. We are able to do a few things, but we'll have to talk offline to figure out if we want it to be part of their eligibility, like for coaches and such.
And club directors, we have decided that once they've done a clinic, it will be good for 2 years. So it won't be annual clinics to be taken. If Tammy, if a member selects no communication in Sports Engine, does that mean they will not receive emails from the club?
Correct. If a member goes into their account and selects no communication, then you as the club could send messages to that member, but they'll never go through. They've basically unsubscribed. You would still be able to see their email address in your directory. You could email them, using Gmail or Outlook or whatever you use. But communications through the system, they would have opted to not receive those.
Will the club directors see that so they know that they've opted out?
Correct. Yep, that is a field that you as the club can see in the phone book directory.
Okay.
It looks like somebody had maybe asked about certifications from WebPoint. Those will transfer over. So anything that you had that's still current, like your Safe Sport or your background screen, that does transfer over when you create a new account. It would be important that you create your new account in Sports Engine with the same name and date of birth as in WebPoint, so we can accurately map those over. If everyone decides to start using a nickname, it'll be a little tough. But the region does also have a way on the back end of the system to manually give you a background screen or a Safe Sport or something that might not transfer over. But as much as possible for everyone on this call and your coaches, anybody who has something like a background screen or Safe Sport that they need to have brought over, same name and same date of birth as in WebPoint.
Just quickly, Tammy, directors, we have created a couple of membership categories that are new, same price, but we'll have a club director membership, a coach membership, a professional official membership, and then we'll have a non-coach membership for adults, chaperone, manager, team rep, something like that. And then for juniors, we'll have a tryout membership. Now the tryout membership is for 12 to 18. The 11 and unders still have a full membership for $15. They will be directed to pick that up, and the 8 and unders will be free. So just FYI. And Tammy, correct me, and Kirsten, all players will go through what they call a little quizard, just a couple of quick questions, and it will automatically lead them to the correct membership that they're supposed to purchase initially.
Correct. Yep. So when an individual is ready to buy a membership, whether it be the tryout membership or upgrade their membership or your coaches, whatever it is, they'll go directly to the region website. And from there, they'll hit a link on a buy memberships button that takes them through a quiz, has them answer some questions, and takes into account their age and gender, and that gets them the membership that they need. Like I'd shown here, that club assignment, that would just kind of be the backup plan. So if you invited somebody to the club that does not yet have a membership, it's going to have them buy a membership there. But for the most part, people will still be going to the region website to begin their membership purchase journey. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the last step that you as club directors need to think about this season. To recap, first step was add people to your member directory, that's your phone book. Second step was to officially assign members to your club for the USA Volleyball season. That was under USA Volleyball and memberships. And then lastly, it's roster building. So that happens in this governing season tab. I am in a sandbox account that has had people added already. And there's a fake season up here, but right now you guys would just see one. It'd be the 2021 USA Volleyball season. I'm gonna go into this teams area. And while this loads, the screen always struggles a little bit when I share my screen here. Wanting to, again, compare to WebPoint and just talk about the difference here. So in WebPoint, an individual could not be added to a roster unless they met all requirements, right? So you could not add a coach to a roster until they finished their background screen and safe sport. This system does not force that to happen. So when we look at teams and players and staff, they're all going to have a roster status. So you can really add players and staff to a roster without knowing whether or not they've met your requirements yet. But know that if you add somebody who has not yet met the requirements, they're going to be in a pending state. They only become approved once they've met all their eligibility requirements, their membership, background screen, safe sport. If I drill into an individual here, I can see what it is that they're missing or what's going on with their account, like why they're not roster status approved yet. So backing up a little bit with how we add teams. When you're ready to build your rosters, you've got two options, much like the phone book. You can hit this plus button, and that would be creating a team one by one. And then I would add players in here one by one, add staff, basically build the roster manually. My other option is to come into this import teams and people area. And this is going to allow me to simultaneously build all my teams and do the rosters for those teams by importing, again, an Excel file in. So starting this import here, it's going to give you a template file that you can just download and use. It gives you the columns that you need. I think I might have a test file here I can add.
Tammy, do they have access to this prior to tryouts so that they could, when they're building their rosters, they can just go ahead and put it in that format?
System-wise, this is available September 1st, and then Jimmy, you have the ability to lock it down if you don't want them to do that yet, but we can make it available as early as September 1st.
Okay, but they could download the template so they could do it offline and ready to when they want to.
Yep. So I added that Excel file there. It's, one of my 18s teams, and just want to go through a couple steps. Again, I know that the import might seem a little daunting or scary if it's not something you're used to doing. But again, it gives you the template, and it's really like a step-by-step wizard that will help you get everything in the right area. So if I had any errors here, it wouldn't let me import anything bad or that didn't match. When I hit next here, it's going to save that and check for errors and duplicates. So again, not going to go through this whole process, but wanted to show you here. Okay, it looks like I did not put a role for these individuals on my Excel sheet. So I have to choose whether they are a player or a staff member here.
So for staff, there's no differentiation between like head coach, assistant coach, team rep, like the different steps that we had in WebPoint?
There are when you get into like more of your roster building here in a couple of steps, but when you're importing it in, it's really just a player or staff.
Okay.
So I'm not actually going to import this in just because I've done this file about 1 million times. But want to talk a little bit about what's really happening behind the scenes here in the system. So as the club, I just imported an Excel file of my teams and rosters. And when I hit that import button, I'm going to be sending it up the chain to the region. And that's where the system is going to check the roster that you just uploaded for eligibility requirements, membership, background screen, safe sport. as well as any other rules that the region might set up on those divisions. Most commonly, it's like gender and age group. You know, is a boy on a girls team, or is somebody too old trying to be on this team? The system's going to check for all that. And then again, if everything's good, it'll be approved automatically by the system. If there's something that's missing, maybe an eligibility requirement or an age or gender that doesn't quite match, then the region has some action that they can do in either waivering a player on a roster, if you guys allow for those exceptions, or reminding you that, hey, this isn't approved, you've got additional steps that Sally needs to take to get to be good to go. Okay, any questions there on roster building in this new system? Like I mentioned, a little bit different process. I highly recommend the import for this first year to get all your teams in, and then in future years, we'll be able to just copy those over. This would be an area where if you're a Sports Engine premium customer and you already have rosters built on your website, you can copy those over. So that process looks a little bit different for you there. But for anyone using Free HQ, you can add your teams, players, and staff manually, or you can import them all in at once and build those rosters using that Excel file.
And this is can work with AES, correct?
Yes. So I was hoping to have a demo video done by today, but it will be done next week and then shared with regions. So Jimmy, you can post that on your website or share that out. But because the member management system and AES live on the Sports Engine platform, once you've built your roster in the system, you can go into AES and pull it into AES. So it'll come in as a default roster that you can then apply to different events and then modify as needed. But really excited about that because it's, you know, less work. We're not having to build rosters in 2 locations. And then the hope is eventually that the rosters will be shared to all event systems. So that would include TM Design and Sport Wrench. But something I'm really excited about is not having to build my roster again in AES. I know I always get worried that, you know, you put something in wrong and then it gets caught at an event and it's no good. So a big win there. Chris, I think you had a question in there about the registration process for tryouts. We'd have to talk in a little bit more detail, but if you're using Sports Engine for collecting registration information for your tryouts, after you build your rosters on your Sports Engine site, you would be able to pull those over. Okay, those are really the 3 main steps that you as the club director need to be ready or prepared to do for this upcoming season. Step 1, build that phone book directory out. Step 2 was club assignment. And then step 3 is that roster building. One thing I do want to highlight here is while we went through this whole system, this need help button on the side is always there for you. And when I click that and open it up, it actually opens a ton of help resources. So one thing that I like is the suggested articles area. So I came back to my directory or my phone book, and you might remember that step, but maybe not the actual instructions to complete this. I can go to this how to add members article, and I get the step-by-step instructions there. Some of these articles in here are Sports Engine kind of general articles. There's also a USAV club specific area where everything I'm looking at is USA Volleyball helped Sports Engine create these articles. So these are specific to USA Volleyball and the Palmetto region. So I can check those out. So this would be a good one, how to invite members to play for your club. That club assignment, again, it's giving you those step-by-step instructions on how to complete that.
Sean had asked about the medical documents. Those are something that USAV nor the region needs. That's something just the club would have to have. Waivers and medical release, stuff like that.
Two other things to just note in this section. Mine says region admin because of a permission level I have, but you'll actually have a club admin manual here. And there's two of them. There's one for premium customers and one for people using the free HQ. So that's a pretty complete manual. And then if you're somebody that learns better, through a video, we've got this great mini series video that gives an overview of the system. We've also got step-by-step instructions for videos for just about everything in the system. So lots of help resources in there, which is why at the beginning of this I recommended, try not to focus too much on the step-by-step. You've got this resource that'll help you through that, as long as you understand kind of the basics of what needs to get done. So there are those other videos here about adding people and doing all that. I do want to jump back over to Jimmy. At the very beginning, you had mentioned clubs giving the region access so that the region can help through this process.
Yep.
To do that, you would need to come to your directory or your phone book, hit this add person button. And I'm not sure if you guys have come up with the email account yet, but the region will provide you the region email that they want in here and the name and last name, probably something general like Palmetto Region Volleyball or something.
What did you set? Have you already set that up?
No, but I'll do it first thing tomorrow so that we can send it out.
Okay.
So you as the club would be adding the region to your phone book. And then once they're added, you would click into the region's name, which is opening up their profile. You would come to this roles section and you would hit this assign role. I highly recommend this governing season admin. This would allow you to have the region help you with all that rostering piece of it. Org admin is like the highest level possible, so that would give the region maybe access to areas of the system that they don't need to be in for your club, but either one really works there. This is also the same process if you've got other club admins that aren't on this call or are not in Sports Engine already. You would add that club admin in, go in and give them a role, so that way they can go to this My Organizations tab and access the club HQ. So without a role here, then when somebody logs in, they're just seeing that personal individual Sports Engine account. They need to be an administrator before anything will show up here in My Organizations.
So if they add us as admin roles, we can get into their savings account and transfer it into our names.
Yes, that was the game plan.
Kidding, guys, kidding.
Okay, those, like I said, those were the three main steps and really the biggest topics I had to cover tonight. Jimmy, anything else you wanted me to go over or any other questions about the system here while you've got me on the call?
I got a couple of small things, but anybody else have questions for Tammy? And of course, I'm assuming you guys saw the video stuff that we sent out. So there's tons of videos on this, but it's not that complicated. It's just a different process. Any questions, put them in the chat or speak up real quick.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a club person as well, and I really feel there's value in this system, especially moving into future years on the system. Year one on any new system is always tough because we're all starting from scratch. But after we get a year or two under our belt, especially when rosters start communicating with event systems like they will with AES, and your phone book is a little bit more built out, the goal here is that this empowers you as club directors to get the admin stuff done, get requirements met and out of the way, so you can focus on coaching your actual teams, which is what we all want to be doing anyways.
And directors, I would encourage you to encourage the members when they're setting up the directory is to allow to put in their phone number and allow you to do text also, because I can have a prediction that this season we may have to have some last minute changes in things, and that will be able to get information out to those members as quick as possible. All right, I don't see any other questions. Is there anything else for Tammy? Last call for her. Great, you must have done an incredible job, Tammy. Everybody give her applause.
Well, I really appreciate it, guys, for taking some time tonight to go through this. I know it's certainly hard to be focusing on a new system with, question marks around whether or not we'll even be having events and tournaments and all that kind of stuff. But please use the help resources. Your region has been awesome, and they've learned a lot. So questions can be directed to them if you're having any trouble in your account. And then Jimmy and Kirsten, I'll talk to you guys here in a couple of days, I think.
Yep, that sure will. Thank you, Tammy.
Yeah.
Everybody else, just a couple of quick things. Tammy, we'll talk to you Thursday. We'll see you then. Thank you.
Sounds good. See you guys.
Yeah. Hey, Tammy.
Yep.
Switch me back over. I think you have to host.
Okay. Sorry.
Everybody, just a couple of things. If you have unpaid players' fees from last season and you want us to consider putting a region hold on them, you need to do that this month before the end of the month. And I think I sent that out today with a link to complete in a Google form. So do that. I want to re-emphasize the tournament planning that we're going to all have to work together. We need to kind of know in advance what your thoughts are and where your teams might go. And then we're going to have to work with our tournament host and find out what they have available. We have a good many in the Rock Hill area simply because they're one facility that is in the volleyball business and they're going to run. It's just that they will have a maximum capacity. So we've got to work out some logistics on that, as with every facility, how many people we can get in. And we're going to talk about that as we learn more as we get closer to the season. But barring any changes, I can foresee that we may have to have limitations on a facility capacity. And it may get by with just, like I said the other day, if we got a 14 pool, we may take 2 teams and say, leave the building. Go back to your car, go outside, do something so that we don't go past that maximum capacity and we can still have parents come and watch their kid. Consider this, and this is probably going to be a reality, with a good many hosts due to the restrictions of facilities this year, and we don't know how severe that will be. We're probably going to do a good bit of Saturday, Sunday, one-day events. In other words, if it's a one-day event where a host can't get but one facility versus 2, we may have to use that one facility both on Saturday and Sunday in order to get the divisions in. And we'll get feedback from you guys, but we may split the young ages on Saturday one day and the older on Sunday the next day, and then reverse that later on. But you'll have to educate your parents is that that's probably a reality unless things change dramatically between now and then. And then finally, you saw a survey that we sent out about tryout date options. We're just trying to appease some of you guys that cannot get into facilities as often as you want to. So we're trying to spread it out a little bit, or at least give that option. So if you have not taken that survey, please do so very soon. With that said, that's all I have. Kirsten, anything from you? And if you guys have questions, stick it in the chat real quick. We'll try to answer it. Nothing. Anybody else? I hope everybody remembers what's the key word for 2020-21? Flexibility, change. So be ready to adapt. We'll start sending out information in the director's desk very soon. Julie will be working. She's only working on that. So that'll give you a lot of help. what to do with different things. I hope you looked at the survey that our recent survey is. That'll help you see what the public wants from you guys. I don't see. Okay, I don't see anything else that that we can answer. So with that said, thank you, everybody. We'll be back in touch. Thank you for spending the time tonight, and hopefully everybody have a safe week. Good night.
Good night. Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, Kirsten, I'll be in touch with you and other staff as we get closer. I'm sure you've already learned it all by now.
Yeah, sounds good.
I'll see you Thursday. Good night, everybody.